welcome to the weekly Coaches Show with Coach Johnny Boykin of the Clinton High School Dark Horses. I'm your host, Jonathan Griffin, and along with me each and every week is Coach Johnny Boykin. And just want to let you know, to remind you that each and every week, as you can tell, as we're inside of the fabulous Pizza Inn. We're sponsored to show by Pizza Inn and Rabo Agri-Finance. Coach, Sobble borrowed time from me last week. Made you sit on the wrong side of him. Now I get a chance to come back and enjoy. I always enjoy these times for you and I get to catch up. But we get to talk football, and anytime you get a chance to talk football is always fun. So we're just going to go ahead and kick the tires and jump right into it if you're ready.
We're ready.
This past Friday, you got your first experience as the head coach of the Clinton Dark Horses during a Clinton Midway rivalry game. We talked about it a little bit in pregame.
Right.
But what was the energy like leading up to the game, and then during the week, and then also during the game with the kids and everybody?
I don't think I've received more phone calls from parents and people in the community. Just, I guess, kind of preparing me for what the other things that go along with this that are not
the extracurricular stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's been a strange week, a little of a difficult week leading up to that. That was our second game. Played
in
Princeton
5
on
days.
that Monday.
Yep.
Played
5 days. Yeah.
Princeton on that Monday, and then turn around, and we were dinged up a little bit after the Princeton game, and got into the Midway game, and there was a lot of energy around the game.
Sure.
I wouldn't say all the energy is positive.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, but there was definitely a lot of energy around the game.
Really want to give a shout out to the Clinton faithful that showed up. I really was excited to see the support that Clinton had in the stands behind the team. Even though it's been a tough season early on here, to say the least, they still came out in full force.
No doubt,
to support the team.
Yeah, that's what we do. I was in awe when we went to Princeton and played in our second rain game, as I might say, and our fans came.
Yeah,
and that's all I know, about this community. They show up, they support, and I couldn't be prouder to be from a great place like Clinton, North Carolina.
I wanted to get you to talk a little bit about Henry Bass. He seems to have found a home at quarterback for you through the last 2 games.
Yeah. God sent. He's never played football before. No references, nothing to pull from. But what he does have is playing experience in other sports. And this is why being multi-sport is so important. He's very athletic, baseball kid, plays at an elite level in baseball, and he's been able to translate some of that experience to the football field in terms of the positional play.
Yeah.
And his leadership, the kids believe in him. And he's found this rare confidence for a kid who's never done it before. It's amazing to us, some of the things that we've seen.
Yeah.
Because it's always, his situation is really fluid because he's learning minute by minute, second by second. And some of it is just instincts that he's grabbed from other sports where he's able to, he broke out on a run.
Yeah.
And the last time we saw him run, it was like, oh no. Yeah. And now it's confident, ball down, running, or whether he's throwing the ball, he's showing a lot of confidence and placing a lot of confidence within our offensive team. And if you watch this, our offense has kind of picked up.
Yeah.
From there,
sure.
And he's done a really good job.
You can tell that with each game, although, he played a couple snaps, within the first game, 2-3 games of the season, but it was like for lack of a better phrase, mop-up duty, if you will. But the last 2 games, you can just tell, even in the same week and only 4 days apart, the confidence growth from game 1 that he started to game 2 at Midway. And he may throw one of the best deep balls.
Yeah.
The one that he threw a couple to Ryan McNeil, but the one that he threw that if Ryan doesn't get pushed a little bit out of bounds, that may be one of the best deep balls in terms of dropping it in the bread basket, as they say. He's He was really doing a good job
and
on the deep pass.
When we first got him throwing the deep ball, he was throwing it so hard and throwing it so far that the kids couldn't get it.
Yeah, couldn't get there in time.
And if it was on time, we weren't catching it.
Yeah.
So it's been an amazing thing to see how hard work and dedication and staying with it, how it's evolved and how it grows a team. So,
and he seems to have a good attitude and demeanor and a willingness to learn as well.
Yeah, he's got the best demeanor.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a quarterback's demeanor. Nothing really ever phases him. And I say this all the time to our kids, being a multi-sport athlete is not only important for your physical safety.
Yeah.
It's important for you to draw, because if you're not always competing, it's tough to be a competitor.
Sure.
And that kid is always competing, and he's drawn from those experiences.
Want to move to the other side of the ball, talking a little bit about offense, move to the defense, which is where you made your living when you were in high school, right? Playing defense. So when you're playing a team, or teams rather, because you have a lot of them that have either come already on your schedule or that may be there towards the end, that run a lot of misdirection, like wing T and even the single wing like we saw in Princeton. How important is eye discipline when you're playing defense?
Oh, it's everything. It's not only on defense, it's important on offense too. Your head will go where your eyes go, and your feet will go where your eyes go. And it's probably one of the most difficult things to teach. The great players play faster because they have eye discipline. They know what to look at, whether it's a first initial key, and they can move from that key to a secondary key, because it's just not one key that you're reading. Yeah. It's always from one key to flow, or whether you're a lineman, you don't necessarily be blocked down in the gap, but it may take you to a second level. Yeah. It's essential. Training the eyes and having the discipline to grow with that is important. Yeah.
So I want to jump to one of our early fan questions.
Okay.
How much in-game adjustments go on during a typical game?
Ooh. The scheme is a scheme. Okay. So you may change a technique.
Sure.
Most of it is about eye discipline that we just spoke about.
Sure.
Reminders, giving reminders of a key or something that you've coached during the week.
Yeah.
Looking for alerts. Alerts are things that they show you that suggest something else. So most of that is about what the adjustment is.
Okay.
You don't really ever change your scheme.
Yeah.
But you may change a technique within your scheme.
Okay.
You may move them to a 9 instead of playing a 7.
Okay.
Which is an inside shade as opposed to playing an outside shade.
Okay.
So a lot of that goes on defensively. Offensively, you can change how you block it. And generally, most offensive schemes have more than one way to block a certain play if they want to run it.
Yeah.
Or they'll just move away from the play.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Again, tonight's Coach Johnny Boykin Coach's Show is brought to you by, obviously, Pizza Inn, as we're inside of Pizza Inn right here in Clinton, and also Rabo Agri-Finance. I want to talk about another player on your team, Ryan McNeil. I know you probably know some of his past, but just wanted to mention it to some of the fans out there in case they don't. I'll never forget, as a sophomore, him and another player knocked on my door at my house, coming up selling, card passes to try to help raise money for summer camps and things like that. And Ryan was starting defensive end at the time as a sophomore on varsity. And I believe it was either the last or the second to last play of the Jamboree going into his junior year, maybe sophomore year, tears his ACL, has to sit out the entire year. Then he kind of gets having to rehab and buried on the depth chart last year. And now he comes in, he's playing hard for you, but he's got a chip on his shoulder. He plays with fire. And he had some great catches against Midway. How far along has he come that you've seen since the start of this season to like where we are now in terms of just not only his attitude, but what he's been asked to do? Because if you think about it, for folks that joined in, and you obviously remember this, Ryan started out on defense the very first game, and then he was a backup quarterback. Then he had to come in at backup quarterback some. Now he's running the ball some. He's doing a bunch of stuff now, and he's split out wide receiver. He's catching the deep passes from Henry Bass we talked about. Just talk a little bit about him and what kind of player he's been.
He's done a lot for our team, just on the field. He's played at just about everything, and he has a varied skill set. You know, he can be physical, and we're going to use some of that this week. He can be a frontline player where he can put his hands on tackles and guards and be physical and win. He can play tight end, H-back. He can block and catch. And he can split out, as you said, and he's played some quarterback for us.
Yes.
I think one of the bigger things with all our kids is trying to understand who they are. You know, what makes them tick, and how can you help them develop in those areas. You know, Ryan is a fiery kid.
Yeah. Sometimes you'd like to control that fire a little bit. But.
And it's a great attribute.
Yeah.
But with anything that you do well, we have to help all our kids manage those things so they can be the best version of themselves.
Sure.
So he's done a great job with us, and he's working hard each and every day. And, he's anything we've asked him to do, he's done it thus far. In any kind of way that we've asked him.
He's certainly got a story.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Of where he was and how far he's come to now.
Yeah.
And I think it's commendable when you know him personally, and you don't just see him on the field, but you know where he started out. I remember that day when he came to the door, he was so quiet. He's like he let the other guy do a lot of the talking. And and like now he seems to be sort of a vocal leader on your team for sure. Yeah. So I wanted to move on to this next question, which this is something that I'm sure that a lot of people might wonder, and I'm curious to get your take on it, because this doesn't have anything to do with any particular like coach or player or anything. But there was a specific time where start of the third quarter, you guys got a great stop. You got the interception. You're driving down, and you decide to make a change at quarterback, maybe to go to a power move. And there was a procedure penalty, which happens in football. Right. Anybody who's ever played, it happens in football. But what went into the thought process maybe to make a change right then, to maybe try to something new?
Well, it's not really a change. It's just a part of what we do.
Okay, fair enough.
You're trying to find how to utilize the best skill sets of the players you have. And we are really thin at running back.
Yes.
So we had two running backs that are down, hurt. Some of them were in uniform, but they were injured. So we were really thin at running back. So one of the, Ryan that's one of the things that he can do.
Wildcat, for those who don't know exactly what you're talking about.
It wasn't a change where we were changing quarterback. We didn't want to take Henry and run him through the line of scrimmage.
Sure, yeah.
He's not a physical. He runs when he has to.
You need him to throw, too.
Yeah, we need him to throw.
You need him to be there to throw, yeah.
So that was about a situational need.
Sure.
Wanted to run in that particular sense. We've been giving the ball to 15. We ran him through the ground.
Yeah.
And, it's got to be a complementary piece with him that helps us continue to move the ball.
Sure.
So Ryan offers that to us.
Yeah.
In a wildcat situation where he can get on the edge and he can be physical and run football.
And of course, obviously hindsight's 20/20. You look back at it, and anybody could say, well, this, that, and the other. But if the procedure penalty doesn't happen, you probably either score right then, or you at least get the first down and the drive continues. So it's easy to nitpick, though.
Yeah, that's more on us. He was really anxious. He's a gotta-go, ready-to-go guy.
Yeah.
And
he's a high school kid.
Yeah. And that's something that we coach up. We go back and we'll coach that up.
Sure, yeah.
So that doesn't happen. But, no, we wouldn't change that. You'll see a lot more of that, too.
Sure.
Just trying to use the resources on your team.
So you brought him up, and it's kind of funny. I don't know if you've been reading my notes here because it's going to allude like right into that. But we've talked about Jaden in the past, 15, mainly as a linebacker. But boys, he looked impressive recently as a running back. And that drive, he had at least one drive in there. Ron and I had a chance to call the game. Ron had a chance to come out of retirement and call the game with me on Friday because Saville again was at his basket weaving competition in Burgal, and which I never figure out how he placed though. But we'll see. He may have paid off the judges. But Jaden ran the football really well the last couple times he's had a chance in games to run it, but he had one drive against Midway. He just took over, and they couldn't do anything to stop him. And when you're a player, when you run the football, and the other team knows exactly you're going to get it, and they still can't stop you, that says something. Now, when do you talk a little bit about him as a running back? We've talked to him about a linebacker, but when did you decide to start using him more as running back? And maybe some of that goes to the fact that you said you got a little thin there at running back spot. And what makes him so hard to be brought down?
He's got an unusual contact balance. He absorbs contact, but you never see him knocked off balance. He's also probably the most athletic guy on our team. The strongest guy on our team. He's explosive, and he runs like he's angry.
I can tell. And, we can tell that from the booth on Friday.
When coaches can get in a way where he's a running back, he's a linebacker, he's this, he's that, and sometimes you never really see the true essence of the player. What can the player offer you? I was talking to some NC State players. People today, and when you think player first, play second, things generally work out well. And as we started looking at our roster, how we could help, because we were really struggling offensively at the time, where does the ball need to go? Who can help us do that? And I mean, and not only that, he has a way to affect our sidelines. The energy of our sidelines is just amazing when he touches the ball. He gives everybody else hope that we got a chance, that we can do this. And, he's just he's got everything you would need to be in an athlete.
It's kind of interesting enough. If he didn't have to play linebacker, he probably could be a 20-25 carry type guy. But he's also one guy who could potentially lead the team in tackles and have the most rushing yards on the team also.
But we've had that here before.
I think one of the last people that I know to do it was probably two-shot, Herbert Dixon. And that's – I'm not saying I'm comparing the two. It'll be calling me. I'm just saying. But that's one of the first ones that popped in my head was Mr. Do-It-All,
we've had – and it's funny, I tell Jalen all the time, I say I can only think of one linebacker that's better than me since I've been here, since I was here. And I'm telling him this jokingly because he's definitely a lot better than I ever was. And I talk about Herbert Dixon. And he never says anything. Like, you can't rattle him, but he's right there, though. I mean, he's got all the tools.
He's definitely talented for sure.
He's definitely.
And you get another year of him next year.
And he'll have some opportunities here coming.
That's good. Before we take our next break, I want to go. We have another fan question.
Okay.
So, this past Friday, you guys were decked out in the all whites. Definitely a clean look. How do you decide on what uniform to wear every week?
Our seniors do that.
Okay.
So we allow them to
combinations.
We allow them to come up with a schedule. We give them a schedule and let them know what happens on this day, and let them choose what we wear.
That's pretty cool.
We just ask them to make sure we mix it up so that we're not wearing white on white. For every away game.
Gotcha.
That we're changing our pants to help us with our uniform longevity and that kind of thing.
That's pretty cool. Again, this is the Coach Johnny Boykin Show right here at Pizza Inn. We're inside Pizza Inn. I'm your host, Jonathan Griffin, along with head coach Johnny Boykin of the Clinton Dark Horses. Tonight's show is brought to you by, of course, Pizza Inn and Rabo Agri-Finance. All right, so we've talked about Midway. We've talked about the fact that you played 5 games or 5 games, 2 games in a 5-day span. That would be wild, right?
Yeah.
5 games in 2 days. 2 games in 5 days after coming off of an 18-day layoff because of weather and postponements and things of that sort. This upcoming Friday, Dark Horse Stadium, we get a chance to get back in the friendly confines of Dark Horse Stadium.
Yeah.
You play West Bladen, another conference foe. Now, they're having a tough year also. They're 1-4. Now, what have you seen on film that makes West Bladen a good matchup for the Horses?
Well, I think here on out, there's a lot of familiarity with scheme.
Yeah.
This conference loves a wing T. We see quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
And they've got some players on their offensive side of the ball. We'll have our hands full, but we're looking forward to getting the win column. We're really hungry. Our kids hadn't put a full game together, offense and defense yet, and we're really due to put a game together. So we're hoping this week is the week.
Yeah, I had a chance to look at some of the West Bladen stats, and their quarterback really doesn't throw the football all that much. It's a lot of ground and pound. In knowing that coming up, is that a similar change that you make defensively, similar to Princeton when you knew that their main goal was to run the football?
Yeah.
You wanted to try to maybe stack the box and take away what they do well?
Yeah, what hurts us a lot is we're really thin up front. Our linemen, the midway game, they play offense and then they flip right over and play defense. Yeah. And we don't have a lot of ability to change out just because of the schemes that we're seeing.
Sure.
And size we like getting big against wing T and some of those offenses. But it makes it a little difficult when you're so thin. So, a lot of familiarity and not a lot of new things.
Yeah.
We just got to, for us, it's more about executing the things that we have.
Okay.
So that's where we're at,
okay,
just in terms of our preparation for this game.
Where do you feel like so far through, we're 5 games in now, that you guys have made the biggest stride from game 1 to now coming up?
No doubt it's offense.
Okay.
Our offensive line, it's funny, I told them yesterday, I said, you know what? Nobody's talking about you guys anymore, and they say, that's right, Coach, nobody's saying anything. And I said, that's how it normally is when you're moving the ball and you're putting up points and you're quarterback and running back. We had no turnovers for the first time this past week. The negative plays we had were more about wide receivers stepping off sides, not looking inside at the ball. Very few negative plays post-snap, which was something that was very troubling early in the season. So I would say that offensive line with Henry coming on, with us being able to take some of the smaller guys and widen them out and give them roles has really helped us.
Yeah. So I would say, that was, again, I think you've been going to professional IQ. You can read my notes from over here because literally on here I was going to say is that the offensive line has not, I don't think, giving up a true sack in the last 2 games, and that may be to what you were alluding to there. But that offensive line, if you don't mind, name that offensive line so we get them names out there. I know I put you on the spot.
Yeah. Well, we'll start in the middle with Mr. Hicks, Mr. D. Hicks, who helps us. Our captain, Devon, who was here last week, or the last time we had this, he helps us. He actually plays a little bit of center. Kelly Neer plays there, and you got your big boy inside, Mr. Hill, Hayden Hill, who plays inside too. And that line's kind of shuffled back and forth all year long. And but those are the main guys who get in there and get it done.
I tell you, and with the exception, considering you guys are in shotgun predominantly 99 to 100% of the time, Mr. Hicks and all the centers that you've rotated through have, with the exception of a snap here and there, as many times as they're snapping it in shotgun, have done a tremendous job of snapping the football. Yeah,
they've done a tremendous job. As many times they've had to snap it.
Yeah.
He's done a really good job.
Yeah. So I wanted. This is going to be our last segment of this evening. I wanted to get you to talk about it. And you talked about being thin in places. You talked about our guys are really hungry. Well, I can tell you who's not hungry tonight, and that's your JV, because they're eating pizza in. And the reason why they're eating pizza in is because of why, Coach?
They got a shutout last week.
Got a shutout.
Yeah.
So that's the thing now. They get a shutout. They get pizza in.
Well, Coach Pope, who's our JV defense coordinator, made a deal with him, and they held up their end, and he held up his end.
Well, that's pretty cool.
So his pockets are a little light today.
Well, talk about that JV, though, because this is a JV squad that they've only lost one game, and they've had some impressive wins. So the future looks bright, for the Dark Horse community going forward the next couple of years. And we've heard good things coming out of the middle school as well. So talk about the future and what you see out of the JV.
Well, they play with an unbelievable spirit. Graham Dirks kind of leads our defense in the middle. He's kind of the guy who makes the calls and lines everybody up and gets them going, and and they follow him. And
he's one that should never ever get out of line, right there, right?
No. On the offense, you got Brady Warren, those guys up front that do a really good job. Marable, and got a couple freshmen in there,
Sure.
Evans Long.
Sure.
And they do a good job. Their names don't get called much.
Yeah. But you got to be proud of that JV squad.
Yeah, very proud of them. And, on a team, it takes some time for the leadership to be established.
Yeah.
And roles to be defined. And after those first two games, they just got better and better and better and better and better. And they got some talent on that squad, too, that's kind of makes it a little easier to have a Gavin Miller to hand the ball to,
or that's right,
Elijah Bryant to play quarterback for you, and they do a great job. And we got Cat Williams. We call him Cat Williams. He's all
the time telling jokes.
Always telling jokes.
Okay.
He's a funny guy. He's a receiver. He does a great job for us, and so they've got some guys to. And up front, they do such a great job.
Well, that's good. Folks, stick with it. Coach Boykin here and his staff is going to get everything turned around. We'd love to see you Friday night at the game. Clinton will be hosting West Bladen. Tonight's show, again, is brought to you by Pizza Inn and Rabo Agri-Finance. Coach Johnny Boykin, I'm Jonathan Griffin, your host. This has been the Coach Johnny Boykin Show right here inside of Pizza Inn, folks. And we hope and look forward to seeing you Friday at the ball game. Tune in each and every Monday at 7 o'clock for the Coach Johnny Boykin Show right here live from Pizza Inn. And check us out on Tuesday nights as well at 6 o'clock for the Press Box Chatter Show. For Coach Johnny Boykin, I'm Jonathan Griffin. Good night, everyone. We'll see you Friday at the game.
Go Horses.